Thank you to Kenzie Bruce for his incredibly generous support on Patreon. Nine Fingers Keene versus Damia, and that's a pretty slow starter, isn't it? We don't even have any gates available to us, so yeah, I'll take a mulligan on that. Okay, that's not much better, but we'll keep on that and get rid of the Tatyova, I think. Our opponent's on the play, so we do get to put our hand back up to a 7th card. Okay, and a Consecrated Sphinx is a means of us getting back into the game, maybe. Get out the trio. No doubt that our opponent's deck is a control one. Typically want to empty their hand and then go for the Damia and refill their hand, so probably got to counter every single thing we do here. In that case, we'll take advantage and get down at the gate. It's noteworthy that I actually built this deck for multiplayer, but playing it in the 1v1 room here, I don't have much hope for it. I don't think it's anywhere near fast enough for 1v1, but I'm not having a lot of luck getting multiplayer games at the moment, so just decided to try it in 1v1, try and get some quick games in before I am away for the week. A Sylvan Caryatid from our opponent, so that might give us room for the Rhystic Study this turn. Okay, a Solemn Simulacrum. So it's either Baldur Recovery, so that we can definitely go Solemn Simulacrum next turn with an untapped gate, or we go Rhystic Study now. I think I'd rather have the Rhystic Study right now. It's noteworthy that, as usual, with the special releases, Wizards of the Coast are not very good at releasing all the new cards that they themselves print and design. And so we're actually missing a couple of cards from the pre-con. One of them fetches up 2 gate cards for 5 mana, I think it is, and then we're actually missing a gate or 2, I think. And this is very limited. In Sultai, we actually only have access to about 12 or 13 of them. I think we've got 10 in this deck, all the available gates that we actually have access to on Magic Online. But it's not all of the gates that have ever been printed that we could put in a Sultai deck, annoyingly. Our opponent just holding up 5 mana, curiously. Alright, excellent. We actually get an untapped land here, so we could try Demonic Tutor. If our opponent counters it, then we can still hold up the Arcane Denial for any big spell that they might be after. Yeah, so let's try Demonic Tutor. That lands, surprisingly, so I'll just go for another land here, I think. Let's just make it the Urborg. So now we can play the Urborg, and we'll hold up the Arcane Denial, I think. Thought our opponent was going to cast something on our turn then, but surprisingly not. A Cryptolith Rite is going to turn their Mana Dork into a Mana Dork. They do pay into the Rhystic Study, as they should. Alright, a Fact or Fiction, so do we go for Baldur Recovery onto the Demonic Tutor, maybe get a... I can't remember if I've got Lightning Greaves in here. I think we've definitely got Swiftfoot Boots set up for when we eventually get our commander into play. And we'll drop the Rogue's Passage, play out the Baldur Recovery. I'm just trying to get interaction out of their hand here, because I think they're holding things up for us. Alright, allowing us into the Demonic Tutor, so I'll continue to hold up the Arcane Denial. Argument to be made there for us just holding up the Fact or Fiction, but we can do that next turn maybe. A Baleful Strix from our opponent, just cantrips. It is good against our commander though, they can double block and throw that in the way of it. Draw into a Ramunap Excavator, so we could get out the tap land. Pretty sure we can play this from the bin, can't we? Yeah, I think I'll just hold up the Fact or Fiction actually, because I definitely want access to this counter spell. Could be more aggressive and go Demonic Tutor into a Sol Ring. Yeah, I'll go Fact or Fiction. Maze of Ith, and it does tap for mana thanks to the Urborg. Okay, a Kogla Titan Ape. So, they do pay for the tax. Can we use this to get counter magic out of their hand? We could always fetch more counter magic with Demonic Tutor. Yeah, let's see. Okay, looks as though they might not have any counter magic then. So maybe it's time to start getting more aggressive at this point. Our opponent will draw 2 cards. We will draw 1. That is a Rite of Replication for us. Not the worst card with a Baleful Strix in play. Okay, and a Verdant Catacombs. Yeah, so let's just ramp some more here. We'll go Solemn Simulacrum. Grab an island with that. We've got plenty of blue in hand. And then Verdant Catacombs is good with the Ramunap if we play that next turn. What do we tutor for is the question. We'll want removal for the Damia if they play that next turn, but they've got 6 cards in hand starting next turn anyway, so I don't think they'll be going for Damia. Don't have Lightning Greaves in the deck. We do have Swiftfoot Boots though, so we'll go for that. Now that we've tapped out, we may encourage our opponent to tap out as well. Alright, surprisingly they do go for the Damia. 6 cards in hand, not as threatening as it could be. Paying into the Ristic Study as well, fine. Okay, and they do have a land to make for the turn as well, so 2 cards they draw next turn. It might actually be worth going for Consecrated Sphinx then. Okay, Assassin's Trophy could just go on the Damia instead, buy ourselves even more time. So we'll crack the Verdant Catacombs so that we can go for another land, and then we'll play the Ramunap and we'll be able to get the fetch back out again. So that guarantees us a land drop every turn here. Play the Swiftfoot Boots, ready for either the Consecrated Sphinx or our commander next turn. Protect the Ramunap with Swiftfoot Boots, and then we'll go for the Assassin's Trophy on the Damia now. Hopefully they'll pour a lot of resources into trying to keep that in play. Might suggest as well that they don't have many good cards going if they're trying to get this into play. I think we are free to swing in here. Don't think they're going to do much to us on the crackback. We've got Maze of Ith as well, alright. Holding up the mana from Maze of Ith. So maybe want all 3 mana. Nope, just forgetting about their own Maze of Ith. Could have untapped the Solemn. Maybe they don't want it untapped for whatever reason. Okay, going for the Damia again. They're pretty adamant on getting that out. They've got 3 mana held up. Oh, and they actually drew us into a Toxic Deluge there. Not paying the tax is curious, so maybe... yeah, maybe they definitely have a 3 mana counter spell. So we draw. That is a Circuitous Route. Not worthy that we can actually play the Baldursgate Sanctuary from the bin with the Ramunap. I'll crack the Verdant Catacombs and then replay it, and that can be our land for the turn. Not as much untapped mana as possible. If they counter the Consecrated Sphinx, then we can just go Toxic Deluge and wipe the board. Otherwise we can take full advantage of their card draw. Suppose we could have gone for Toxic Deluge, wipe out the creatures, and then try to land this anyway. It does stick though, so let's try and get a Swiftfoot Boots on there. Okay, that lands. So yeah, nothing else to do there, we'll pass. They will draw 2 cards to the Damia, which means we are going to draw 4. One of the rare occasions where you don't mind Damia drawing cards. And that is a Sylvan Library. We've got Beseiju and Field of the Dead as well. Okay, that is a Lotus Cobra, and they do pay into the tax. Alright, a Cyclonic Rift. Going on their main phase, curiously. I was actually thinking that I'm going to go Toxic Deluge on my turn, so that actually saves us a couple of creatures. Yeah, we allow this. I'm going to blow up their Maze of Ith with the Beseiju because it's just going to be good with our 9 fingers if we manage to get it out anytime this century. So managing to hit us for 5 here. At the end step, point the Beseiju at the Maze of Ith. And that will get them an untapped land, so hopefully they don't have any 1 mana counter magic for us. They do go for an island with that. Okay, a 3 visits can ramp us a little bit. We definitely want the Swiftfoot Boots down, ready for next turn, so let's see if they want to counter that. No, they don't. Let's just go for the Toxic Deluge here and see what happens. Put 4 life into a Toxic Deluge. That does successfully wipe the board. Excellent. So, So now that we've got the haste available to us on Swiftfoot Boots, maybe it's just Circuitous Route. Yeah, let's go Field of the Dead. Makes us a zombie on entry because we certainly control 7 or more lands of different names, and then we'll go Circuitous Route, finally get some of these gates on the way. Baldursgate, probably one of the best gates in the format, in the whole game actually, so we'll get that going. And then it can be Mana Gate, we can have that tap for Simic. Both of those trigger Field of the Dead as well. Okay, so going to have to discard a couple of cards here. I think it's okay being the 3 visits, and get rid of the Ristic Study as well. Our opponent's just playing into it, which does slow them down on mana, but we've got plenty of card draw available to us here, I think. A Grave Titan into play. It's going to be a battle of the zombies, apparently. Not the best thing they could have played with Rite of Replication in our hand, though. Obviously they don't know this is in our hand. Okay, a Windswept Heath. Let's see here. I think going for the Consecrated Sphinx is a good idea. Alright, that comes down. Not seeing a lot of counter magic from the Sultai player, which makes a nice change. Play the Windswept Heath, which will trigger the Field of the Dead again, making another zombie. And then let's tap Baldursgate for some mana. We can just make it blue. That nets us 3 mana, so actually not making any mana from the Baldursgate yet. Anyhow, Solemn Simulacrum entering play again. And we have 4, 5 and 6 basics left in the deck, which is noteworthy because we might go for Rite of Replication onto the Solemn. Thinking Grave Titan at the moment though, or even Consecrated Sphinx. Swing in with the Consecrated Sphinx, it flies straight over the zombies. And then we obviously haven't held up Beast Within, so I'll play the Sylvan Library. We draw 2 cards from the Consecrated Sphinx during their draw step, and yeah, haven't done too well on the gate front here, but Scape Shift will soon change that. If it wasn't for all the Death Touchers, I actually would have cast my commander at some point here. Out comes Damia again, and they do have 3 mana from their creatures if they want to keep those untapped, so that's noteworthy. 4 cards in hand at the moment. Okay, but Grave Titan's swinging in, so probably just make a bunch of blocks here, I think. Throw zombies in the way of that. It saves our Beast Within if we feel as though we want to kill that off later. It's not worth leaving it around just for the sake of a Rite of Replication. And yeah, there's a Lands Matter stuff. We get Tatyova and Scape Shift here. Say always yes and yield to the Sylvan Library. Okay, we've got a Renin 7 available to us. Not many lands in our hand. Cyclonic Rift as well. We'll just keep these. Actually, could put Rift on top, couldn't I? Because we're about to draw a load from Tatyova anyway. So yeah, just dump that on top, it doesn't really matter. Right, so if we sacrifice 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, we can get 8 gates out of our library. So let's play out the Tatyova first. Then play the Scape Shift. Our opponent allows that, so we'll sacrifice a bunch of this stuff. Not going to sacrifice the field, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. That allows us to fish out a bunch of gates, so it is Basilisk Gate, Black Dragon Gate, Damia and Golgari Guild Gate, Gateway Plaza, Sea Gate. Definitely want the Maze's End, and I think that's it. I think that's all the gates, so we'll go for Thespian Stage as well. Oh, actually, maybe should have gone for Reliquary Tower. Oh well. Name green with that. Green with that. Everything taps for black, of course. Gateway Plaza on the stack first. And then we draw a bunch of cards with Tatyova, make a bunch of zombies with Field of the Dead. Gateway Plaza we have to put black mana into here from the Urborg. And now we've got counter magic backup as well, which is really good. So we'll play Misty Rainforest, triggering Field and Tatyova again. There's a Lotus Cobra. So we'll play Lotus Cobra, crack Misty, throw down an island, triggering Tatyova, Lotus Cobra and Field again. Make green mana with Lotus Cobra. That is a Nature's Claim, which would be good for the Cryptolith Rite, but we need to get down our commander here so that we can hold up the Fierce Guardianship. So can't tap for a bunch of mana from Baldur's Gate, unfortunately, because that wouldn't allow us the 3 colours. Well, not sure how relevant it's going to be other than allowing us a free Fierce Guardianship, but yeah, we got down our 9 fingers eventually. Swing over the top with a Consecrated Sphinx, and then we pass it over to our opponent after we've discarded. Damia going to draw 3 cards here, which means we draw 6. Getting us into a bunch more mana basically, reshape the earth. Scape Shift has pretty much done its job, so probably won't be casting that. Interesting interaction with the Varrock Battle Horns. Pretty much makes your commander unblockable, because they have to block with 2 or more creatures because of the menace. They can't block with more than 1 creature thanks to this. So actually we'll be able to get a trigger off with this next turn. Our opponent casts an Azusa, so it might be that they've got some Lands Matter stuff of their own here. That is a Decree of Pain from our opponent. That's exactly why I wanted the Fierce Guardianship held up. Cast it without paying its mana cost thanks to our commander. They would have drawn a hell of a lot of cards from that. Maybe they've got a counterspell of their own. Excellent. That is an Unwind. Well, luckily we've got the Maze's End win next turn. Do not have the mana for our Negate. Could float the mana. Yeah, they really should have floated the mana from their creatures there. We are going to return our commander back to the command zone. We'll draw a card from Solemn as well. Our opponent has 25 cards in hand, only 3 mana though. And we draw and open the gates. Don't think there's any gates left in the deck, there shouldn't be. We play a Mana Crypt, so that's more mana for them obviously. A Sol Ring as well, followed by Exploration, and then a Dryad of the Elysian Grove. So they get themselves a Simic Growth Chamber there, which is a bounce land. And then it is a Lightning Greaves off the Sol Ring, and very aggressively swing in with the Dryad. Our opponent discards a bunch of stuff down to hand size, and we'll try and get something going with our commander here. We've got the win here thanks to the Maze's End. Draw in some stuff with the Sylvan Library, just some lands. That can go on top. That'll be funny actually, the Fire Shrieker, we'll keep that in hand. So it's Mana Crypt. Haven't seen much of our commander this game, so we'll try and do something with it here. Get a bunch of green mana out of Baldur's Gate. That is 9 mana it generates. Swiftfoot Boots onto our commander. Play the Fire Shrieker as well. We have only 36 cards left in the library, so we'd have to be careful. Fire Shrieker onto our commander, giving it double strike. And then we will swing in. We've got the Maze's End held up at instant speed. Swing in at our opponent. Hit them once for 4 damage. It's noteworthy that we could buff our commander with the Basilisk Gate as well. And yeah, could have got them on commander damage, I suppose, couldn't we? Anyhow, it triggers the 9 Fingers Keene. So we reveal a bunch of stuff. No gates to reveal, because we've got them all, but yeah, all that stuff goes into our hand because of the number of gates we control. Hit them again with the second strike, and just like that, we draw 18 cards, go down to, what is that, 18 cards left in the library. So yeah, we'll put our opponent out of their misery. They've been a really good sport here. We'll activate the Maze's End, no gate to find, and that triggers the win for us. Excellent. Massive shout out to my opponent. They were a great sport here, really played it out, even though it wasn't looking too great for them in the end. Could have buffed my commander for lethal commander damage, perhaps? Probably, yeah. I think it was +9, +9, +10, +10, something like that. So especially with the double strike, could have got them on commander damage there. So ultimately had multiple ways to win that one. Yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this visit to 9 Fingers Keene. This is supposed to be a multiplayer deck, like I said, but glad I tried it out in this 1v1 room so I could get this video out to all of you. I'm tribalkai. Thank you for watching.